Haribo. Welcome back to Make Japa Great Again. If one puts one's time and attention as a human being into any practice, one can improve oneself. But according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most worthy of all practices is chanting Hare Krishna. Mahaprabhu himself used to sit in Vrindavan under the Imli tall tree. He'd start early in the morning and go till late in the morning, sitting, chanting the holy names, japa. And so this perfectly follows in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this practice of japa. And we have these sessions regularly so that we can remember that by practicing we can improve. In any discipline, people always have some kind of mentor or coach in order to improve. Even professionals in sports, they always have somebody who's coaching them because somebody needs to bring the best out of us. So having regular programs so that we can get the best out of japa, just like an athlete would get the best out of his or her body. It's the same thing. And I've picked out several quotes from Srila Prabhupāda's teachings on japa that I find especially helpful. And yesterday, can you remember the essence of what we read, of what Prabhupada said?
I remember in the beginning was something about the yogis, and the last phrase was about forcing the meditation.
Yeah, the part about yogis was you can't do meditation in this age. I'll read the translation of the quote again. Yoga system is approved, but nobody can follow the rules and regulations strictly. Neither there is suitable place for executing it. And everyone is always full of anxiety. So how they can concentrate? So best thing is to chant Hare Krishna, which is forced meditation. Here's today's, from 16th June 1969. This one's I entitled, because of the phrase within the paragraph, determination and effort. Prabhupada says, regarding your last question, it's a letter, regarding your last question about the ecstatic symptoms of chanting Hare Krishna, you should know that the Hare Krishna mantra has an equal effect upon all devotees. Just like the sunshine has an equal effect on everyone, but when it is covered, the sunshine has a different effect. Similarly, the influence of the Hare Krishna mantra becomes manifest when one is no longer covered by the 10 offenses to chanting. The more we become free from the 10 offenses, the more the effect of chanting becomes manifested through us. Everyone can become a great devotee, being freed from the offenses 100%, simply by one's determination and effort. Does anybody want to give a reflection of what you just heard?
Sometimes it's a little bit abstract for devotees to see in what way we are failing to not respect the 10 offenses.
Is it a question or just an observation?
It's a question.
I see.
Like, in which concrete way we are regularly doing the 10 offenses?
There are two that are specifically very important. One of them is to not offend devotees, and the other one is to not commit sins on the strength of chanting. And of course, there's an overarching point that is added on to the 10 offenses, and that is one must be attentive while chanting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that's the root. So when things seem abstract and it's hard to understand where to begin, it's helpful to go to the offenses or the elements of a practice that are the most basic. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Prabhupada, of course, concurs and makes this point about not blaspheming devotees. So one can be very observant of oneself and how one speaks about devotees, how one interacts with devotees. And that's a place that one can apply one's attention to. There's a little sheet you can sign up for that says, I won't criticize devotees for any reason. If you just check the box off and sign your signature, then you're not obligated anymore.
Where do we sign?
We have it, we'll bring it today to the program. You can sign up.
Is it for free?
It's the source of the greatest wealth. We'll notice that the devotees who go out of their way to avoid blaspheming others and are vigilant in following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood, which was that if you've blasphemed devotees, there's an antidote, which is to praise them. So instead of using the tongue to criticize devotees or to half praise them, just try to praise them. This is one of the places that we can apply ourselves, and we can also notice. We can also monitor how attentive we are to doing our japa. Do you finish 15 and a half rounds and then toss your bead bag in the corner? Do you listen when you're chanting and so forth? That takes, as Prabhupada says here, determination and effort. It's like if you want to develop physically, you have to walk up the stairs about 50 times a day. And otherwise you'll just come out of shape. So we should apply ourselves with determination and effort in all these ways. Is there one more? Anything you heard? I'll read once more Prabhupada's quote and then let's take a reflection. Prabhupada writes, the following. Regarding your last question about the... Oops, that's the wrong one. Regarding your last question about the ecstatic symptoms of chanting Hare Krishna, you should know that the Hare Krishna mantra has an equal effect upon all devotees, just like the sunshine has an equal effect on everyone. But when it is covered, the sunshine has a different effect. Similarly, the influence of the Hare Krishna mantra becomes manifest when one is no longer covered by the 10 offenses to chanting. The more we become free from the 10 offenses, the more the effect of chanting becomes manifested through us. Everyone can become a great devotee, being freed from the offenses 100%, simply by one's determination and effort. Please, may we have one more reflection? Yes, Sitapa Prabhu.
Just when I hear determination and effort, always that story of Srila Prabhupada gives of the sparrow trying to dry up the ocean. And that story I find just visualizing it in the mind sometimes is very hope-giving, because sometimes I think also like I'm surrounded by, just in connection to this, I'm surrounded by like spiritual giants and I'm a no one. But even if you're a sparrow, if you feel like a sparrow in the association of devotees, or like a crow and everyone else is a swan and I can't do it, just by your effort, determination and effort, Krishna will help, and Prabhupada says everyone is available for everyone.
Yeah, that's such a helpful example. One drop at a time, she wanted to drain the ocean to the little sparrow. Then Garuda came along and said, all right, give it up. So we'll get that help from Krishna when we show our effort on our side. 50% from our side, 50% from Krishna's side. Okay, so last point I'd like to make before we go into chanting is that we should avoid the Dhṛtrāṣṭra effect, the Dhṛtrāṣṭra syndrome. So what is the Dhṛtrāṣṭra syndrome? When Akura, who is appointed by Krishna to go speak to Dhṛtrāṣṭra and find out whether he was willing to avoid the war by just instructing his sons properly, said to Akura, I know what you're saying is correct, I just can't do it. It's the most pathetic response anyone could ever hear, and the result is catastrophic. The war went ahead. And it's painful even to read that section because I can relate to it so much myself. However, the śāstras are all telling us that you don't have to give in to such weakness. You can develop a strength of heart so that you can rise. So in the name of, or under the banner of determination and effort, we can remember that practice well while you can. There's no guarantee we'll have extra time. And at some point, as Prabhupada points out in a purport, we have to fly our plane solo. So get as much practice as you can while you can. And Prabhupada writes that the ācharya, the guru, and the śāstra can give us hints for advancing in spiritual life, but we have to do the work. So never claim to be too weak to take responsibility to do what is right. Because everyone can rise in due course of time. Krishna gives this recommendation in the Bhāgvatam, sve adhikariya niṣṭhā saguna parikīrtitaḥ. Do the best you can with what you have right now, but don't throw the whole thing away by saying, I'm too weak, I can't improve. You can always improve from where you are now. It may not be as much as what other people are doing, but that's okay. You can only do what you can do, but try to do better every single day. Maharaj.
It's kind of related, something just came to my mind. There's a famous scientist, his name was Stephen Hawking. You may have heard of this personality. Not exactly a practicing Vaishnava. And he said many things, and I listened to quite a few of his quotes. One of them was, because he had lifetime MND, and he was supposed to have died decades ago. He fought against it, he was determined. And he said, I proved them wrong. And my secret, I tell to Reverend, is I concentrate, I focus on what I can do, and not what I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
I find out what I can do, and I focus on that. Not try to do what others are doing, etc.
Right to the point. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Very helpful. Thank you, Dr. Steve. So let's try with determination and effort, like little birds pecking at the ocean. Here's Srila Prabhupada's instruction again. Remember, he's giving specific information or instruction about chanting japa. He gave a lot of this, and he's the one who also required everyone who wants to advance in devotional service to take the vow to chant at least 16 rounds a day. So here's what he says. Regarding your last question about the ecstatic symptoms of chanting Hare Krishna, you should know that the Hare Krishna mantra has an equal effect upon all devotees. Just like the sunshine has an equal effect on everyone. But when it is covered, the sunshine has a different effect. Similarly, the influence of the Hare Krishna mantra becomes manifest when one is no longer covered by the 10 offenses to chanting. The more we become free from the 10 offenses, the more the effect of chanting becomes manifested through us. Everyone can become a great devotee, being freed from the offenses 100%, simply by one's determination and effort. So we heard that, and I also brought out a couple of points about the fact that we only have a certain window of opportunity to practice. I noticed when we go to Govardhan every year, and our main objective is to hear Bhāgvatam for as many hours as possible. It's a regulated program, so we hear for at least 5 hours a day together. And one might think, well, that doesn't seem like very long because there's 24 hours in a day. So why only 5 hours? Why not 19 or more than something like that? But it requires a lot of effort, first of all, just to get to Govardhan. And second of all, there are numerous other duties one has to do just to the body to arrange it so that one can be there for that time to hear. 2.5 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon. And I realized that it takes a lot of organization to be able to do good japa. In the Sri Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami says, Tanama Rupa Charitari Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasinyoja Tishtan Vraje Tananuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akilam Itupadesha Saram. He gives the essence of all advice. That's what he says. The saram, Upadesha saram. And that is, try to organize your life around this principle so that you can hear 24 hours a day. So that's a determined effort one has to make to organize one's life so that one's japa can be great. It doesn't happen by chance. It happens by determined effort. Let's hear any other reflections that you might have. Nirakula.
Thank you. This time when you read the quote and finished with what Srila Prabhupada said, simply by your determination and effort, I was reminded of Mother Yasoda and the pastime of Damodar and her determination and her effort. But ultimately, Krishna saw that and then he reciprocated. So I think if we're sincere in our determination and our effort, that's the best we can do, and then we just have to depend on Krishna for the rest.
It's an excellent point. And in the pastime, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that the rope being 2 inches too short is representative of 1 inch our effort and the other inch is Krishna's reaching out to us. And it's specifically mentioned in the story of Yashoda and the time she was tying up Krishna, that Krishna noticed that she was perspiring. She was making a great effort to try to tie him up, to do her motherly duty. And that's when he reciprocated on his side. Thank you.
I think there's Mataji at the back there. Her hand was up.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question. I don't know if it is completely right, but that morning we read about personalists, and we read they were sometimes they show symptoms by chanting and dancing, and I was thinking they are not sadhya, they are not making a show. They are supposed to be. They don't want that. So how is it possible for them to show that symptom? But in the same time, they just want to merge in Kṛṣṇa. So how we can understand something about our own japa by seeing what we are doing, what is wrong, what we are doing, and they are just, it looks they are just very near to get to the right thing in the same time.
Could you say the question in one sentence?
How is possible the impersonalist can get, in one sense, the fruit of chanting Hare Krishna?
How can impersonalist have... That's 2 sentences now. Unless you use the semicolon, and I guess that's still 2 sentences. How is it possible for impersonalists to show ecstatic symptoms?
Yes.
They're different. Prabhupada was differentiating. And the example Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj gave about how a young woman happens to be in the hospital, she's in a maternity ward, and she hears a mature woman who's giving birth to a child, and she's making sounds of childbirth, the pain of childbirth. And so the young woman who wants to have a child, but's not married yet, thinks that I will go home and I'll make these sounds and then also have a child. But that's not how one has a child. And so he pointed out that there are imitators, people who express themselves in ecstatic symptoms, but they're not real. So the context Prabhupada was speaking about today was those who are impersonalists and therefore they're hard-hearted, and whatever symptoms they're showing don't indicate that the heart is changing. That's in the 2nd canto of the Bhāgvatam, where Shukadeva Goswami says such people whose hearts are hard they're not devoted to Krishna, but they show symptoms, are just that. They're hard-hearted persons, as are impersonalists. It just kind of is what it is. It's that there is no actual ecstasy. Maharaj? A reflection. It sort of depends too. If somebody's a Mayavadi, then it's actually the great offense against the holy name. If somebody is maybe in Shantaras and appreciating Krishna's effulgence, the grandeur of the Lord's creation and so forth, then they may feel some sense of ecstasy. But it just depends on the quality of the person. Any other reflections from your chanting or the idea of determination? Yes. 1, 2.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's just on your reflection of reading in Govardhan and reading 5 hours a day. Just made me think of that verse in Bhāgvatam that talks about uninterrupted and unmotivated service. So there's 24 hours in a day, so at some point it has to be uninterrupted, you've used all your time, but unmotivated depends on the quality, and we can always do better quality japa and be more intense about quality japa. So it just reminded me of that.
Yes, it's a good point. Quality is extremely important. Of course, there's also Sankhya Purvaka. The number is important too, because it's one designated by our ācharya, and keeping to it means that we're following in the footsteps of the parampara, and that's vital also for achieving quality. Prabhu, you were going to make a point?
Yes, small one.
The word determined actually has the word terminus in it, which means you understand that there's an end point you're trying to hit. So you're aware of the fact that you're going somewhere and that you want to complete it. Please go ahead.
What Miracle Mataji said, it's exactly what I was thinking the same, and this was what helped me, like, in my effort to follow what I heard. I'm trying to apply what I've heard, but it's coming mechanical. So I was thinking, okay, I'm trying to focus my mind and chanting, and suddenly I opened my eyes for a moment, and then I saw the picture of Krishna, and I felt so happy right there in front of me. So it's small things, but Krishna makes all kinds of gestures, small signs, and if we learn to appreciate the small things which we have, we can build up gradually, and we cannot expect, like I opened my eyes and Rasa Lila is taking place or something. I mean, like, we need to be realistic and really build up gradually from where we are and work with what we have and be very thankful, and we have everything, really. So her point was that we need to depend on Krishna's mercy and take it as it is, not expect Krishna's mercy in some particular way which we decided that it should come in this form or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Narada Muni, when he was a little child, had an ecstatic experience, and then he actually saw the form of Krishna and was absorbed in it, and then he lost it. And then Krishna spoke to him and said, "You're not quite ready yet. You're not there yet." But Krishna was very compassionate to him and said, "Just keep practicing. You'll come there when you're ready, when the time is right." And we also have to bide our time to come to that point. So determination and effort is what Prabhupada mentions, and also that it's up to us. This was the other point. It's the ācharya can give hints and can give goals, but we actually have to do the work. Otherwise, it's not that just because I'm in the context of the organization that started by the ācharya, or I'm in proximity to great devotees, that I'm going to make advancement. I have to put in the effort also. Just in closing, I'll review what we heard yesterday and today, just to keep in mind Prabhupada's specific instructions about chanting japa. Yesterday we read, yoga system is approved, but nobody can follow the rules and regulations strictly. Neither there is suitable place for executing it, and everyone is always full of anxiety. So how they can concentrate? So best thing is to chant Hare Krishna, which is forced meditation. And from today, regarding your last question about the ecstatic symptoms of chanting Hare Krishna, you should know that the Hare Krishna mantra has an equal effect upon all devotees, just like the sunshine has an equal effect on everyone. But when it is covered, the sunshine has a different effect. Similarly, the influence of the Hare Krishna mantra becomes manifest when one is no longer covered by the 10 offenses to chanting. The more we become free from the 10 offenses, the more the effect of chanting becomes manifested through us. Everyone can become a great devotee, being freed from the offenses 100%, simply by one's determination and effort. And yesterday we also talked about japa fade, and that is, it's easy to degrade by small degrees. Fade means to grow weak gradually. Fade happens a little at a time, but then it seems that a person has suddenly stopped. All practices fade without attention. The word attention means special care. Give special care to your japa. When you chant, be attentive. Be aware that you're chanting. To be attentive means to stretch towards something. Stretch towards the holy name, body, mind, and spirit. That is, with body, mind, and spirit. Within any practice, we're either improving or getting worse. There's no staying the same. Chanting is the most nourishing of all activities that we can do every day, but there's always the chance that we can gradually grow weak and stop chanting. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj said, complete the vow of the number that you're chanting every day, even if your life is in peril. And then from today, practice well while you can. Soon you'll have to fly solo. Prabhupada gives the analogy of an airplane in trouble high in the sky. It can't be helped by other airplanes. The ācharya, the guru, Prabhupada speaking, and the śāstra can give us hints for advancing in spiritual life, but we have to do the work. Be aware of the Dhṛtrāṣṭra syndrome, claiming to be too weak to take responsibility to do what is right. Key takeaway, remember, if it's to be, it's up to me.